Hello, my friends. Leo Babauta here from Zen Habits. And in this video, I'm going to talk about discipline. It's actually going to be the first of a two-part, maybe more part, series on discipline. Because this is a really big topic and it's something that people really want to learn about, something that people have been asking for in the comments, and something I get asked about with my coaching clients or people who are in my programs or groups. So this is a big topic and there's a lot in it. And so buckle in and sit back and let's get into discipline. Now, before I do, I want to say that watching this video is already a practice of discipline. So if you start watching and then you stop and you go and watch other YouTube videos or look at social media or check your messages or whatever, that is a training in the kind of discipline that you are trying to cultivate. Or you can stay and practice with this video. So it's staying here and not moving to something else, taking some notes on actions that you want to take, and then figuring out how to actually put them into action. That's what I actually recommend for this video, is practice discipline by watching it, taking notes, putting into action, rather than just switching and kind of doing what you normally would do when you watch a video. So practice discipline as you watch the video about discipline. Okay, so before I do that, I want to invite you to help me by putting into the comments a topic that you would really like, or if you struggle with discipline, what's your struggle? What's a question that I could answer about discipline? Maybe there's something that you want to use discipline to do in your life. Maybe you want to wake up earlier, or focus more on certain meaningful work projects, or maybe you want to meditate or journal or eat healthier, exercise. What would you like to use discipline to do in your life? So comment below, and that would really help me out. And I'll try and take the things that you're commenting about and put them into future videos. So it'll help not just me, but everybody who watches this channel. Okay, so in this part of the discipline series, what I'm going to talk about is, what is discipline? Why does it have such a bad name? And what are some important attitudes that we can have about it before we start actually trying to train it? So important mindset shifts. And there's going to be a temptation for some of you to skip over this part as this is a part that isn't that important, but it really is. And so I'm asking you to practice discipline in staying with this, because if you don't actually think about these mindset shifts and what we normally would do around discipline, you're going to get into the same pitfalls that you normally would, and then you can try and put all of the things in the next video into action, but you're not going to do it from the right place, and it's going to cause you to get tripped up, to get stuck, to fall into the same patterns that you've always had, and then those tips, those actions that I'm going to suggest in the next video are really going to have no use. It's like trying to buy a power tool and then you're doing it in quicksand. There's no point, right? Okay, so please use discipline, practice discipline by sticking with this video before you move on to the next. Okay, so what is discipline? Why does it have a bad name? Let's actually flip those. Why does it have a bad name? There's a couple of reasons. You might already have an inkling, a clue, but one of them is that discipline is also a synonym for punishment. I'm going to discipline my kids. I'm going to discipline people at work. I'm going to discipline people in the military, discipline people at school. We have equated the word discipline with punishment. And in certain contexts, that would make sense, right? Okay, that's what you mean by discipline over here in the military or whatever. Great. We'll just think of discipline as equaling punishment. But what's actually underneath a lot of that, punishment equals discipline, is a certain mindset, which is that in order to have my kids do better, to really stick to things and be consistent with things, or learn the skills that they need to learn, I need to motivate them from fear, from punishment. If I can yell at them, if I can take away their privileges, whatever that I would do to discipline them, then they will learn to do better. And that's a subtle, not so subtle, but it's a thing that subtly gets into our brains. So that when we think of the word discipline, I need to be more disciplined, we think of the same thing. We need to motivate ourselves through fear, through punishment, through taking away privileges or pain, giving ourselves pain. This is a thing that we don't even realize that we have as a mindset, but it is actually in most people's mindsets, that they need to be more disciplined by forcing themselves and punishing themselves and being really hard on themselves. And so there's an inner dialogue of, you need to do better. Get off your butt. Stop being lazy. Stop being whatever. So that is a problem with discipline. If you equate discipline to that kind of behavior, it's actually going to lead to a lot of self-sabotaging, a lot of fighting against yourself, a lot of wasted energy, honestly, and a lot of wasted attempts to like be disciplined. It doesn't work. It works for a little bit, just like punishing your kids also works for a little bit, or punishing your dog, but it doesn't actually have us practice actual discipline, which I'm going to get to in a minute. There's another thing that discipline often will mean that's related to the punishing one, which is forcing. I need to be more disciplined by forcing myself to take action as I really want to do. So like, for example, I need to work harder on my schoolwork or my meaningful projects. Okay, how do I do that? I'm just going to make myself do it. Make myself. And so related to the punishment thing is forcing. Discipline is making you do something. I need to have some, more discipline equals more force. I need to get better at applying force. Be stronger in my will. And this is a mistake as well. So discipline often means that if you think of the military, for example, and by the way, I'm not here to bash the military right now, but it's the military mindset of you need to be disciplined. Wake up early, 4 a.m., go for a 12-mile run, do a bunch of push-ups, get your stuff in order, follow all the commands. All of this is a coercion-based model of discipline, and that isn't very fun. And so when we think of I need to be more disciplined, well, of course, if that's how you're thinking about discipline, you're not going to want to do it. So discipline has gotten a bad name because we equate it in our culture to coercion and punishment. And no one actually wants to do that. Now we think we do. We're like, I just need to be more disciplined. We think we want to be more disciplined, but actually we don't. No one wants to be forced to do stuff. Even if you're the one forcing yourself to do it, no one wants to be forced. No one wants to be punished, even though we think that's the only way that we can make it happen. And so if we think about this broken model, this reason why discipline has gotten such a bad name, what we can see here is that discipline isn't something that we actually want. What we want is what's on the other side of discipline. If I can be more disciplined, then I can wake early, get all my stuff done, exercise, be super fit and healthy, stop feeling so bad about myself when I'm procrastinating. So discipline is a means to an end, and the end is I'm going to feel less bad about myself. Now let me tell you why that is a broken model, because the means to the end to feel less bad about yourself, the means itself, which is discipline, is making yourself feel bad about yourself. I'm going to make myself feel bad about myself so that I can do better, and then I'll feel less bad about myself. Obviously, when I put it in those terms, it doesn't make any sense, but that's actually what people do. They use discipline, which is equated to I'm going to make myself feel bad about myself, punishment, coercion, beating myself up through negative self-talk. So I'm going to make myself feel bad about myself so that I can do some stuff and feel less bad about myself. If I can wake up early and be disciplined and get all the work done and eat healthy and be fit and meditate and journal and blah, 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 all those things we want to do, then I'll feel like a better person and I can feel less bad about myself. I'll be procrastinating less, distracted less, actually doing the things that I'm supposed to do. and then I can feel better about myself. Only after that. It's broken. So that's what I'm here in this video to tell you, is that the model of discipline that we have is broken. And it is designed to make us feel better about ourselves by making us feel worse about ourselves. And this is why discipline has gotten such a bad name, because no one really wants that kind of discipline. Now, I'm going to give you a different model. So when I first said, like, what is discipline? The ones that I've just shown you, the things that discipline is in the things I've just shown you, is what discipline is for a lot of people. I would say for the vast majority of people. But what if discipline could be something different? So I'm going to give you a different model. Let's imagine that you get up and watch the sunrise. So just imagine yourself waking up, watching the sunrise. You're up a little bit early. You have to get up out of bed and do something that's a little bit hard, which is you're tired and you don't want to get up. But you get to get up, maybe cuddle in a blanket if it's cold outside, go outside and sit on your porch. I don't know what kind of house you have, but let's just imagine you have a nice porch where you can watch the sunrise. And now you watch the sunrise and you're just there, paying full attention, not looking at your phone, not thinking about what you have to do later that day, but just staying right there in that moment, appreciating the beauty of that moment. It's a joyful showing up for a moment in life. And this is what I'm going to call discipline. Now, I use the sunrise and, doing some, a little bit hard things, some uncomfortable things, but the sunrise and just fully being there in that moment, watching the sunrise, appreciating it, feeling the wonder and joy and awe of that moment, the gratitude, the appreciation of that moment. That can be what discipline is. Now, we can show up that same exact way for journaling, for eating healthy, for exercise, for meditation, for doing our hard work that we've been resisting for a long time. That is what discipline is, showing up in exactly that way with that kind of joy and appreciation and wonder. Now, what if that's what discipline was for you? What if all these things that you wanted to do were filled with that kind of discipline, where you were showing up in that way and just appreciating the joy of that moment, of that activity, of nature, of being alive, of how beautiful the world is and how beautiful you are? That could be what discipline is. Now, if that was what discipline was, you would be like, oh, I get to read. Like maybe you want to read more books, right? For whatever reason you want to read more books. Okay, great. I'm going to show up, and instead of watching the sunrise, which is amazing, I'm going to sit here in this quiet moment and just appreciate this moment between me and this book, being immersed in some story, learning about something, connecting to a character or what an author has created, just connecting to myself through this character. Whatever it is that I want to appreciate about this moment of reading, that's what discipline is. And then doing that over and over and over again with this full appreciation for life. Because that's what discipline is showing up over and over and over again, because there is something here that is worthy of being appreciated rather than being avoided. It's a different model of discipline. Now, if, for example, let's say you wanted to do push-ups every day, be disciplined about it. So you could force yourself, you can berate yourself, you can punish yourself if you don't do it. Or you can say, I'm going to show up for this discomfort in this moment, because push-ups are freaking amazing. I love feeling my body move through space. I love feeling my muscles exert themselves. I love being here in this space, in this moment, moving myself and exerting myself and making myself healthier and appreciating what a joyful thing this body is, what a gift it is to me to have a body that can work, assuming that's what you have. So that could be what discipline is. Okay, so given that model of discipline, let's take a look at some mindset shifts. The first one is that discipline is about showing up for something that we care about. Discipline isn't about forcing ourselves, it's about showing up for something we care about. The second thing is we do it because there's something we care about. We're dedicated, devoted to something that's important to us. Maybe I wake up and I make lunch for my kids. That's a discipline, right? But why am I doing that? Because I freaking care about those kids and I want them to eat and enjoy their day and feel nourished and cared for. That's why I'm doing it, not to force myself to do something that I hate. Maybe, maybe it's going to take some discomfort, but I'm doing it because there's something I care about. So discipline is about showing up for something you care about, and it's about doing it because you care about it. It's an act of devotion. Discipline is also about returning. When we fall off of something, we practice simply showing up and returning. And this is an act of coming back to something you care about. For example, if your attention goes away from your kids because your phone dinged you. So your phone dings you and you're like, ding, okay, phone. And then you realize you just left your kid without your presence. You're not giving them your full presence, even though that's what you wanted to do. You just simply come back to them and be like, I left you and now I'm back because I care about you. And you're worth coming back to. We would do the same thing with meditation, with exercise. I've fallen off of it, I come back. So this is what discipline is as well. It's coming back because there's something you care about. So these are some mindset shifts that I really want to encourage. A last one that I want to put to you is that discipline is about compassion. It is not about beating ourselves up, coercing ourselves, or punishing ourselves. It's about the simple act of compassion. I'm doing this because I care, because it's a compassionate thing to do. And then if I fall off of it and I feel really bad about myself, the act of discipline requires some compassion right now. And I'm just going to give myself some compassion when I've fallen off, which we're going to talk about more in the next video. But it's also about just saying, hey, you know what? I've fallen off. I'm just going to come back and be compassionate for the disappointment that I feel, and then compassionate by showing up again. That's a compassionate act, of showing up again and again and again. Okay, that's what I've got for you on discipline for this part. The next part, we're going to talk about how to actually practice it, how to train yourself to be more disciplined. That's the juicy stuff that you've been wanting to get to, but you can see, hopefully, why this video was so important. Thank you for having the discipline to go through it with me. Stick with it. This is a really good practice for you, and I appreciate you actually being willing to practice. If you like this video, please subscribe. Don't miss the next one, part 2. Subscribe. Share this with anyone who you think needs more discipline, more Zen habits in their lives, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you, my friends.